Good morning. This is Richard Wexler, and this is Caring in America, the podcast for caregivers and care recipients. And we have a special guest with us again this morning, Steph Byram. Good morning, Steph.
Good morning, Richard. Glad to be back on again this week.
Yes, we'd love to do. And we want to talk about the home team. The home team is something we started building about 3 months ago. And our goal is over 100 cities around the country will have a home team. So what is a home team? It is about 10 to 12 professionals that individuals and families are going to need, whether we're talking about the adult children, whether we're talking about aging loved ones, whether that be parents and grandparents. Professionals they're going to potentially need now or down the line in the future. We already have over 100 professionals that have joined us so far on the home team in various cities. We're kicking off the home team as we speak in about 7 cities around the country. And what I'd like to do, Steph, is talk for a few minutes about these different professionals that we have on the team.
So this brainchild of yours kind of stemmed from the TV show, the new one that launched from Brian. It's called Senior Spaces. We've talked about it in previous episodes, but really it starts at the core of like homeowners. So when we talked about the home team, let's dive into that first. The home piece of that is made up with like the realtor, lending, home modification, and organizing. Can you talk about those different professions and why they're important to be a part of this?
Sure. So millions of people own a home. Again, this could be the adult children, this could be older loved ones. And those people need to understand as they age, and it's not something that a lot of people think about. What do we want to do with our home? Do we want to stay here? Do we want to age in place? Do we want to bring in care if that's ever needed? Does our home work for that? Are there multiple stairs in the home? Is there a bathroom on the first floor? Can adjustments of home modifications be done to the home to make it not only accessible as we age, but also make it safe? Other homeowners may say, we've thought about this, we have talked about this. Maybe we're going to put the home on the market, we're going to sell it. Maybe they want to do some home modification. That's why that piece is so important. They want to remodel a bathroom. They want to put grab bars in the shower. And that's applicable on both sides. Whether a homeowner, as they age, is going to stay in the home, age in place. Again, one of the biggest areas where people fall is in the bath or shower. So putting grab bars in, doing renovations in that room is important. And a homeowner may realize also doing those improvements before they sell may get them a higher price on the sale, with the idea, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes, that maybe they want to look at senior living and move to senior living. I think you brought up lending as well. I mean, based on their own financial situation, it may be important as people age to connect with someone who is a real estate lender and can help them. We're going to talk about reverse mortgages, but it can help them with a forward mortgage to purchase another property or maybe do a refinance on their current property. So, yes, it kind of all starts with the home. I think there's another piece in there too, and that's a home organizer. So, why is that professional important? Folks, I'm being real. Some of us are minor hoarders. We like to keep everything, things that go back 30, 40, 50 years. There's others where maybe that's done on a much larger level. And again, whether you want to sell the home, get the highest price, whether you want to stay in the home and age in place, it needs to be safe. So maybe working with someone that can help you declutter a little bit can be helpful. Did I kind of hit all the professionals within the home?
You did. I think you got everything that kind of encompasses that we're looking at for the home team. So now if we shift gears a little bit and let's say that the person, whether it's the audience member themselves or thinking about a loved one or a client of theirs, if you're seeing that there might be some mobility issues or maybe some hygiene issues or malnutrition or any other concern where now you're looking at maybe bringing care in or having them go elsewhere for care. Let's
Sure.
shift to that. On the home team under our care area, we have home care, we have placement services, and an aging life care expert. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Sure. I mean, reality, folks, and we've talked about this a lot. The long term care insurance industry says that about 70% of us are going to need care. In the 20 plus years I've been in this business, my philosophy is that's not correct. It's more like 95% of us are going to need care. So on the home team, we're bringing in a home care company on each team in a given city. Why? As we've talked about, maybe that homeowner, whether it's an individual, a couple, wants to age in place and stay in their home. There is a very high likelihood, like I said, that at some point, it could be sooner, it could be later in their life, they're going to need help. They're going to need care. So making sure that we have a home care agency on the team, first of all, to be talking with those homeowners now, helping them understand if they were to bring care in to help with daily activities of living, ADLs. What does that encompass? What can a home care company provide? How many hours do they have a minimum that you need them per week, per day, whatever the case may be? And then, probably one of the biggest issues, and that's why I'm saying that a homeowner needs to be talking to a home care agency now, is to understand cost and understand they charge per hour. So, based on the number of hours that someone may need care, you can figure out what that's going to cost. As we talked about, other homeowners, maybe the house is too big. Maybe the house isn't safe. Maybe the house does have multiple stairs. Maybe they have a huge garden or a lot of land and they're tired of taking care of it. They're thinking it may make more sense for them to fix the house up like we talked about, put it on the market, sell it, and then use the proceeds and move to senior living. So we have on each home team a placement referral individual. That is an individual that's going to know all the senior living in a given community. That can be independent living, like Brian shows on Senior Spaces. That can be an assisted living. That can be a memory care facility. So once again, I'm saying homeowners should be meeting with that placement individual sooner rather than later to understand those different levels. What does independent living offer you? What is assisted living? How much assistance might we get? What happens if we have health issues and our health declines? What's going to happen then? Is that building, that assisted living or campus set up to help us? What does it mean to potentially move someone to a memory care facility? And like we talked about with home care, really understanding cost and starting to get ready sooner rather than later. So, an aging life care expert, what is that? We may be dealing with homeowners that are already aging. We may be dealing with their loved ones who already, they're currently in a situation of receiving care. This can get very complex for a family, especially if you don't live, you're the adult children, but you don't live close to mom or dad or your grandparents or in laws. And having an aging life care expert that you can work with that can help you find the resources, potentially even in addition to the home team, can be extremely beneficial. Does that help, Steph?
That does. And I know in previous episodes, we've talked about the extremely high cost of care, whether it's you're bringing somebody in, going to a community, or a combination of both. So the next aspect that we're looking at here is paying for care. We have reverse mortgages, long-term care insurance, life insurance settlements, and utilizing a financial planner. You want to talk a little bit about those?
Sure. And again, in the 20 plus years I've been doing this, probably the biggest issue that I've seen, and it will probably continue to be the biggest issue, is the cost of care and paying for it. Unfortunately, most people, most homeowners, a good reason why we're doing this, don't really understand what care costs. I've literally stood in front of thousands of people, both in person and online. And when I get to the part of the conversation about cost, people look at me like I'm crazy. It can't be that much. On from our organization's site, A Plan to Age, we talk about that pricing for home care in most cities, $40 an hour. The larger cities around the country, $50 an hour or maybe more. Moving to an assisted living on average throughout the country, about 5,000 a month just to get the room. And then there's levels of care that are going to be added on top of that 5,000. In the bigger cities, that could be 7, 8, 9, 10,000 or more per month. So different ways to pay for it. Long-term care insurance, an insurance policy that needs to be bought when someone is a little bit younger and still healthy. And the way most of them, excuse me, can be put together, they're going to cover those costs, whether it's costs in the home or cost moving to a community or a facility. A life insurance settlement. You may be an older couple in your 70s, in your 80s, and you still have a life insurance policy with a valuation of 100,000 or more. A real significant question: do you still need that policy? Or might it make sense to cash that policy out, acquire the cash from it, whether it's to remodel the house, whether it is to pay for care, whether it is to send a grandson or daughter to college? But it's another way that a lot of individuals don't know about when they have a policy they may no longer need. Reverse mortgage. You're going to get care from in the home. We've talked about it's expensive. The time you've been in the home, maybe you've paid the home off. Maybe you've paid a significant amount of the home off. Reverse mortgage individuals can tap into that equity, finding cash for you to make those payments for care. One of the biggest qualifications, that care needs to take place in the home. The homeowners still need to live in the home. One exception that I've seen over the years, maybe it's a married couple. Maybe one of them gets to the point where they need to leave the home and move to a memory care community. The other part of the equation, spouse, partner, is still in the home. You can still use those proceeds from a reverse mortgage to make the payments at the long-term care, memory care facility. Also, and this is where the experts come in and can really educate folks, a reverse mortgage can be used to purchase property as well. What have I forgotten? Anything there? Oh, the
Uh,
financial plan.
the financial planner. Yep.
So that financial planner is kind of the quarterback of all of this. Knowing all of that, it is so extremely important. I tell people, once you start working in a job full time, you could be 25 and start making money. You really need to start working with a financial planner. We all need to understand, yeah, it's great making money now and we can spend, we can buy a car, we can go on vacation, but hopefully we, whomever we is, we're going to age. So it's not just planning for retirement, but it's also planning for care and that cost of care. And then there's another factor, and I've seen this more and more, were those adult children. Maybe they're in their 30s, their 40s, maybe their 50s. They are dealing with an older parent, grandparent, older loved one. That individual doesn't have sufficient funds to pay for care. And they're coming to that adult child to supplement those dollars. So working with a financial planner, the quarterback that understands all of this and can really help you as an individual, you as partners, you as a married couple move forward, saving, investing properly. So when and if, and as we've talked about it, it's a high likelihood that care will happen at some point, the money's there to pay for it.
Thank you for going into those. The last, but certainly not least piece that we have is under our legal area for estate planning. And do you want to talk a little bit more about why that's important to be on the home
Sure.
team?
And we've talked about this. Again, you get that full-time job, you're 25 years old, you may want to stay in that job for a while, you may move around, but guess what? You're going to get stuff. We all get stuff. Sometimes I'd find it interesting. People start out in an apartment or a condo, then maybe get to a single family home. And the bigger home you get, guess what? It allows you to put more stuff in the garage and on the property and so on. So as we age, and most estate planners will probably tell you it's even important in your 20s and your 30s. Why? You may own a home. You may be married. You may have a significant partner. You may have children. You want to be able to determine what happens to your stuff if something happens to you. A lot of people don't understand there is an automatic estate plan. It's done by the state that you live in, not by you. That state will determine where that stuff goes. You wind up in a process called probate, which is public, lengthy, costly, can create a lot of arguments and sometimes even worse in the family. So putting an estate plan together with an estate planning attorney, once you're starting to make full-time income, potentially have a home, potentially have children, you can determine, and the utilization of a trust to avoid probate in most states, where that stuff is going. And then normally with an estate plan, there's further documentation for medical needs and financial needs that I'm going to let the actual estate planners get into. But I'm encouraging people, you may seem young, this may seem silly, but it's a small investment to make sure as you age, and if something were tragically to happen to you, that your family is taken care of.
That makes sense. One thing that we didn't really talk about too much on any of our previous episodes with the home team is we kind call these 12 disciplines like our general contractors in a way. They're pretty standard across every home team of finding one for each, but we also have subcontractors, as we've called it, where we're looking for like different mobility solutions, technology that can assist with it. Do you want to talk about other areas that may be important that aren't necessarily on our list, but we still coordinate
Sure.
with?
Sure. When you're talking about mobility, durable medical equipment, DME locations that are going to have your canes and walkers and appliances that fit over a toilet or help someone get in and out of the shower or oxygen. Again, as we potentially enter the medical system, wind up in a hospitalization, maybe wind up in skilled nursing as we recover, or what may become part of our life as we continue to age, is the equipment that we're going to need, durable medical equipment. So an owner locally of a store like that the home team is going to be aware of, a subcontractor, can be extremely important. Maybe you are selling the house. Maybe you're 80-ish years of age. Packing the house, moving is not something you're going to want to do anymore. A senior move manager that can organize all of that and then help you move to that senior living, potentially in assisted living. I've known senior move managers that will almost tuck you in, put a little piece of candy on the pillow, etc. Then, unfortunately, at some point, reality is we're all going to pass. So 6 months before end of life, for a lot of people, hospice is a great service. Again, not something we're putting as a general contractor on the home team, but something that will certainly be a subcontractor that may be needed at some point. Those are just examples. You mentioned technology. use this in our own life where you can put technology in an older loved one's home, especially when you don't live close. You can monitor movement. You understand mom's always out of bed in the kitchen making coffee at 7 a.m. What if one morning it's 8:30 in the morning? Mom's still in bed. Someone needs to be alerted. So there's a lot of subcontractors like you're talking about that we don't have within the general contractors of the home team, but at some point, excuse me, may definitely be needed.
Thank you for talking a little bit about that. One of the phrases we use often is people don't know what they don't know. So I feel like even having those little nuggets of information for our audience that's listening, it might help them plan for their future as well.
I completely agree. And the biggest reason that we're putting a home team together in all these cities around the country is exactly what you said. We have over 100 million people in this country that are currently 50 and older. Within less than 4 years, by 2030, we're going to have more people 65 and older than we do under 18. Think about that for a second. So, aging is a reality for millions and millions and millions of people, and then potentially their family. And then think about all those individuals that are just an individual. They don't have any family around them. So then we're talking about if they need care, they can't afford care. Is that a neighbor? Is that a friend? So the big issue that we're trying to really help with the home team and a plan to age is just educating America about this issue of aging and all these complexities that go with it.
That is great information. If any professionals are interested in learning more about the home team and seeing if we're currently building one in your area or have it on our radar, please reach out. And until we talk again, Richard, do you want to give any final words there?
No, I think and Steph, I think we covered a lot. Like I said, folks, we've only been building the home team now for about 3 months. We already have 100 professionals. Be patient if there isn't a group, a home team set up in your city. We're going to get there. It's obviously taking us time, but it is so important. As you watch this, please spread this to friends and neighbors and work colleagues and folks from church and the synagogue and so on. And it's really important. I tell people being older today than you were yesterday is extremely important, but we need to understand maybe, probably not in my lifetime, but maybe at some point our bodies will last who knows how long, 150 or more years. We're not going to break down. But the reality is, as we age, I use this word a lot, stuff happens. Whether it's cognitive, whether it's physical, whether it's a combination thereof. So, part of what we're encouraging is learn all this information now. Start applying it. Reach out to the professionals in your local city. Much easier now than dealing with it in crisis later. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank Steph. And until we meet again, have yourself an awesome day.